Which social media platforms are being used by soulpreneurs the most? And by soulpreneurs, I mean people, professionals such as coaches, holistic healers, content creators who are trying to spread some kind of a transformational message. I took a poll of my audience, and I'm grateful that more than 200 people weighed in on this poll. And so I want to share with you the results and the reason why this might be useful to you. A couple of reasons. One is you would love to connect with fellow soulpreneurs for mutual support, for collaborations, for net caring and which helps to expand your audience and your business and resources with fellow kindred spirits who are also more heart-led, who are building a business from a soulful expression instead of just money making. And a second reason is some of you may want to be reaching more soulpreneurs as part of your audience. Either way, I think this poll will be useful to you, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. All right, as you can see here, there were about 230 responses, and of those, approximately 90% of my audience are actively creating or growing their soulpreneur business. I think I'd use the word solopreneur here, but most of my audience are soulpreneurs. So 208 responses that will inform the following. And in terms of countries, well, most of my audience is in North America. I do have some folks in Europe and Oceania as well, Asia. So that's the lineup. So I think it's fairly international, but it does weigh more heavily in North America. Okay, let's continue on here. Okay, so here's where some of the substantial responses are. Which of these things do you sometimes, which of these platforms do you sometimes post things to? Now, this is interesting. You're going to notice difference between where they, well, actually, no, I take this back. When I first saw the responses in the early days, LinkedIn was the huge winner, and the others were smaller. But then it shifted as the responses, furthermore, the responses came in. Facebook and Instagram are where most of the times your fellow soulpreneurs are posting. LinkedIn and YouTube are also important. So basically, you could see that these are the big four: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Now, I'm glad to see this because I have and Substack is another I think is number five. And I'm glad to see this because I actually teach courses on all of these things. I have a course specifically on LinkedIn and LinkedIn ads. I have a specific course on meta ads, so using Facebook, Instagram advertising. I have a course that's just on Instagram because that's more confusing of a platform, and I have a course on YouTube and Substack as well. I have a course about all these different ones. So I'm really glad that basically the top five are the ones, and this may be self-selecting, but I don't think so. I think over the years I've just built a fairly diverse audience of soulpreneurs, and I think this is fairly accurate for where most soulpreneurs and probably most solopreneurs, to be honest, hang out. LinkedIn or Facebook, Instagram are the top, and then LinkedIn, YouTube are fairly similar, and then Substack as well, and small smattering on Threads and TikTok, Twitter, Pinterest. I was surprised had this many votes. Blue Sky. Blue Sky is about half of Threads, um, and Reddit and Insight Timer as well. Insight Timer is an up and coming, definitely for soulpreneurs, healers, meditation teachers, just transformational content creators. You might want to look into that as well. So yes, okay. So then a smattering of smaller ones, and I'll kind of go over some other options afterwards. But let's go and actually look at where soulpreneurs give their attention. So there's a difference between where do you post things versus where do you typically surf. And if you want to reach your fellow soulpreneurs, you want to post where they are surfing, where they are getting information, where they're scrolling, right? Okay, so let's look at what the results are. So first, quick understanding of what the colors mean. We want to look for the orange and the blues. Okay, so the orange in this case means I often visit. So that's like the most significant platform. Like I often go there and I often get information from there and probably meet new people there, etc. And then the blue is I never go there. So you want to look for the pie charts that I'm going to show you that have the least blue and the most orange. Okay, so this is interesting. All right, so LinkedIn often visit 27.5%. Facebook, double, pretty much double of what LinkedIn is. So that's really interesting, even though earlier we saw that it wasn't double in terms of where they post. So I have a sense that basically people are posting on LinkedIn in part because of obligation. Do you feel that? Oh, I have to post. I'm supposed to post on LinkedIn, even though the surfing of LinkedIn is less than that, but still significant. A quarter often visit is significant, and of course half is I go there sometimes. Now sometimes could mean a few times a year, or it could mean a few times a month. But often visit probably means at least several times a week. That's my guess. Okay. But as you can see, Facebook at 49.5, 50% basically often visit is so far winning above LinkedIn. And then Instagram is slightly winning. It's 50%, fully 50%. Okay. Often visit. And YouTube. Now, this was surprising to me, but maybe it shouldn't be because I often visit YouTube as well. 70% often visit. So if you want to reach soulpreneurs and you aren't making YouTube videos, now, you might say, well, I make YouTube videos, but nobody watches them. Well, it's first after you make YouTube videos, YouTube wants to see that there's some traction before they promote it further. So it's first your job to promote your own YouTube videos on other platforms, for example, Facebook and Instagram, and send people there, and people will watch your YouTube videos after getting a link to it, and then some of them will subscribe, and but even simply by watching it, YouTube will go, oh, okay, well, this user has watched your video, whether or not they subscribe. They watch your video for a few minutes or whatever, and maybe next time they're on YouTube, we're going to more likely suggest your videos going forward. So what, don't count on the YouTube algorithm to share your video. You share it first and then YouTube will help you out after that. But 70%, the most significant, and the I never go there is 1.5% say I never go there. So YouTube is the huge winner for reaching soulpreneurs here. Let's keep going here. TikTok, often visit is only 5%. Okay, 80% say they never go there. I never go to TikTok either, especially because of the China privacy issues. I think now that TikTok will be the US TikTok will be US based. I have higher hopes for it. But anyway, it's still not where soulpreneurs tend to go. Maybe it's much too spastic, maybe. Okay. Threads, similarly, 76% never go there. So maybe it's not obviously not as important as the other ones. So give your energy and attention to the other ones thus far. Twitter, 76% never go there. Substack, 22% visit often, 23% never go there. So it's an up and coming one. Like I said earlier, I mean, maybe the top five, right? Pinterest, 58% never go there. So maybe number six, I would say. Okay. 9% go there often. All right. Reddit is 10% go there often. So Reddit is slightly edging out above Pinterest. And in fact, Pinterest, 32% say they go there sometimes. Reddit is 44%. So if you're gonna pick between the two, I would probably choose Reddit above Pinterest. But of course, Substack is double that. Substack is double of either Pinterest or Reddit. Okay, so Substack is probably more important than either of these. And Blue Sky, very blue, 88% never go there. So there you go. Insight Timer, it's up and coming. 13% go often, 61 never go there. So what is the conclusion that I have? Conclusion is that there are basically, uh, I would say, four tiers. Okay, so let's go back and review this real quick. The top tier ones are YouTube for sure. I think actually I would say YouTube is a tier of its own. 70%, right? Go there often. And then only 1.5% never go there. So I would say YouTube is the top tier. The second tier, which is also very important, are Facebook and Instagram. I'm just going to say this. Top tier, I'm going to lump them together because I think they're significant enough. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram are the top tier. Number one, if you're going to focus on reaching soulpreneurs as colleagues, as referral sources, mutual support buddies, or as audience members, well, if you're not on face actively on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, don't do any other social media if you want to reach them. Do these, okay? One or more of these three. The second tier is like, well, if you have more time and energy after YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook, then you probably should look at LinkedIn at 27% and Substack at 22%. So that's the second tier is LinkedIn and Substack. All right. With additional energy, do that. And then finally, the third tier is just for your own interest. If you really like it, Insight Timer, Reddit, Pinterest, that would be third tier. And everything else is not substantial. But let's keep going because I also asked them, where else besides the options I gave you, where else do you go? And I thought this was interesting. Um, Not surprisingly, ChatGPT spelled in three different ways, and then Gemini as well. So AI tools, they often go to AI to get information, and AI sometimes will recommend fellow soulpreneurs, right? Will recommend resources, blog posts, fellow soulpreneurs to look up. It's true. Obviously, search engines are not going away. Search engines are still easy to use, and people still use Google most. No one else mentioned any other search engines. Um, so that's interesting, right? Because those of us who are into AI might go, well, what about Perplexity, or what about people searching using Claude can search, or they can search via anyway. There's AI browsers and things. No, no, no. Listen, ChatGPT spelled in three different ways was the winner. Gemini secondly. People didn't even mention Claude, actually. That's interesting. Out of the two, I mean, I'm sure people mentioned it, but it wasn't significant enough for the AI to pick up on that. And then Google. So I'm planning to completely revamp my SEO course to talk about how do you show up in AI chats as well. How does your business show up in AI chats and as well as search engines? So you can look for that coming up. But I myself will be paying attention to SEO and AI chat, AI SEO more in the coming months and years. People are also, of course, in their own online special interest groups like Mighty Net. They might be part of a Mighty Network or a school or Heartbeat Discord, Simplero community, Telegram chats, Facebook groups. So if you love hanging out in particular online groups, keep doing that because fellow soulpreneurs, especially if you notice there are fellow soulpreneurs there, keep doing that. They meet new people there, of course. Podcasts, okay, I noticed and and YouTube yeah, mentioned again and Medium and Substack. Medium, gosh, interesting. Medium wasn't a popular one, but Substack was mentioned yet again. But listen, with podcasts these days, the easiest way to do it is to have a YouTube channel, and YouTube allows you to create a playlist that automatically becomes a a, a podcast, but it's not distributed to iTunes and Spotify. For that, you'll have to use Substack. If you upload your videos to Substack, your Substack publication, you can easily turn that into a podcast with a few clicks of a button that's distributed to Spotify and Apple and other podcast apps. So I would recommend that. If you're going to like I said, tier one, YouTube, if you're going to make YouTube videos, you might as well upload it to Substack and then have it turned into a podcast so people can find it and listen that way. So I think with that, yeah, that's about it. I hope this has been helpful. I really look forward to hearing, based on this information, what are you going to do with it? Are you going to carve out more time and energy for something that you haven't been doing much of? Are you going to start something new? Are you going to do less of something? I would love to know, really. And so with that, I will complete this video. I hope this has been helpful, and thank you for watching.